Hello Electroheads, question for you. Which new electric car are you the most excited for? Hard to choose, isn't it? There is a lot of good stuff on the way. From stylish new city cars like the Honda E and Mini Electric to go-anywhere adventure vehicles from the likes of Bollinger and Rivian. And that's before you even get to the bedroom wall poster stuff, the Lotus Evias, the Pininfarina Battistas. But you know what? None of those cars are as exciting to me as this. This is the VW ID.3, and today I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about it and explain why I think this is the most important car of the year, possibly the decade. Now then, let's start with that last bit. What exactly is the big deal with this car? Why so important? Well, put simply, because VW plans on selling a lot of them. In fact, I think it's fair to say that VW's goal is for this to become the most popular electric car ever made. And if that sounds overly ambitious, it shouldn't, because this is VW we're talking about, and selling cars by the metric shitload is kind of what they do. Just look at the Golf, the VW ID.3's petrol-powered brother slash dad. Ugh. VW introduced the Golf in 1974, and since then they have sold 35 million of them. 35 million. 35 million! That's over 2,000 cars a day, every day, for 45 years. The reason for the Golf's immense success is it's just a really well-rounded car. It's earned itself a reputation as being the obvious choice for anyone that just needs something that works properly, gets them from A to B, and doesn't cost too much, which is most people. Now, the VW ID.3 is a brand new car, but it's based on the same kind of principles as the Golf. It's designed to simply be the best day-to-day car for the most people. Not electric car, mind you. Just car. VW will continue to make the Golf for at least a little while longer, but make no mistake, this is the face of VW now. By the way, quick bonus fact, it's actually called the ID.3 because it signals the beginning of the third era at VW. The second era began in the 70s with the Golf, the first era at the very beginning with the Beetle. The Beetle, which was a complete commercial flop compared to the Golf. They only sold like 22 million of those. Right, let's get into some nitty-gritty of the ID.3. In classic VW fashion, everything about this car is designed to appeal to as many people as possible. You can just tell that by the way it looks. It's a smart-looking car, cool enough to appeal to teenagers if spec'd correctly, but not so sporty that your grandmother wouldn't want one. I especially like these really cool wheels and the fancy headlights that rotate like eyeballs. It is a little on the tall and chunky side for a hatchback, but we can surely all agree it's miles better looking than the new Mark 8 Golf. Do you think this is a VW conspiracy to push us all into electric cars? Probably not, but maybe. Now, crucially, for the ID.3 to become the new common sense car of choice, it mustn't have any of those electric car flaws that still put some people off buying one, namely being too expensive and not having enough range. And the good news is, it don't. We don't know exact prices yet, but we know it's going to start at around 30,000 euro in Germany before any government grant. But what we crucially do know, at least according to VW, is that on average, a brand new ID.3 will cost about £800 less than a similarly spec'd new Golf. That is massive. I mean, think about it. It was just a few years ago that electric cars cost thousands of pounds more than their petrol-powered equivalents. Now, with cars like the ID.3 and Tesla Model 3, you don't have to pay extra to go electric. As for range, the ID.3 is capable of between 200 and 340 miles, depending on which combination of the 2 motors and 3 battery sizes you choose. Again, seriously impressive. 340 miles is more than double the range of the Honda E. And while the ID.3 seems to have avoided all the conventional downsides of an electric car, you still get all the good bits. It's really important to know that this car is built on a brand new platform designed specifically for it. It's called the MEB, which stands for Modular Electric Drive Matrix in German. You see, a lot of new electric cars are essentially just petrol-powered models from that brand with the engines ripped out. From a manufacturer's point of view, I'm sure that's a cheaper and easier way of doing it in the short term, but it's also a little bit half-arsed. Electric cars don't need space in the front for an engine. They don't need transmission tunnels. So if you base your electric car on a petrol-powered model, you're wasting space. Like the Lucid Air we discussed a couple of weeks ago, the ID.3 was designed from the ground up to be an electric car. That means the battery and motors are much more efficiently packaged, so you get way more cabin space than you'd ever expect to get from a car that size. This new MEB platform also puts VW in a great position to make lots more electric cars quite cheaply and easily. It's kind of like a skateboard with all the electric car bits already there. All VW has to do is just drop different shapes of car on top of it. There's even talk of a dune buggy. That was weird. Now, most of what I've discussed so far about this car has been quite practical, sensible stuff because, again, VW, that's how they sell cars by the million. But do not make the mistake of thinking that the ID.3 is boring. There are a few features on this car that I have never seen before and that I fully expect the competition to be copying very soon. One example of this is the LED light bar, which stretches across the car's dashboard, and the car uses that to communicate with the driver. It'll sweep to the left or right when your turn's coming up, it'll flash at you to let you know you have a call, or you're in the wrong lane, or all sorts of other stuff. Combine this with the fact that most of the infotainment system functionality can be voice activated, and the ID.3 is a car that can be controlled almost entirely without taking your hands off the steering wheel or looking away from the road. Having conversations with an AI computer represented by a light. Where have I heard that before?
I'm afraid that's something I cannot allow to happen.
But my favourite piece of tech on this car is the optional Augmented Reality heads-up display. Can't be bothered to glance down at your sentient light bar for directions? No problem. Your car can use Augmented Reality to project the directions onto the road in front of you. That is so cool! As someone who played a lot of Midnight Club 3 Dub Edition growing up, this is something I've been waiting for. And the tech isn't the only thing to get excited about on the ID.3, there's also the performance. As I mentioned, there are two motors to choose from at launch, the more powerful of which has 201 brake horsepower. Combine that with a short wheelbase and rear-wheel drive, and you're looking at a car that might well be quite a lot of fun. And that might not even be the fastest ID.3. VW has already said it's seriously considering a performance version. Oh yeah, we're talking ID.3 GTI or ID.3R. Considering VW basically invented the hot hatchback back in the 70s with the Golf GTI, it would be so poetic if they were the first ones to put an electric hot hatchback on the road. Please VW, please make an ID.3 GTI and give me one. And there we have it. That is everything you need to know about the ID.3, quite possibly the most important car of this decade. Do you think the ID.3 has what it takes to achieve Golf-like success? Let us know down in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.